in real estate. My name is Arnita Greene, your co-host, and this is Cher Castillo
Hi.
and Arial Pegues.
Hey.
Follow us on IG, Queens of the DMV, and YouTube. Listen to our podcast weekly on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So today we have Patrice.
Hi.
We are so excited to have her today. We are going to be talking about highlighting women doing it big, mompreneur, and service provider.
Yeah.
So, Patrice, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. Um, I've been trying to get you on for a while now. Because I've been following you. I've used your business for a couple of times, and I just love everything that you're doing big on social media.
Thank you. And you were one of the first people to actually do anything at camp. So you always are very special to me.
Yay! So, with that said, tell us a little bit about yourself, Patrice.
Sure. I'm Patrice. I am a mom of 3, a wife. I own a brick and mortar content studio called Camp Space, which you mentioned. And I think I'm really just passionate about people following their dreams and making it happen. And I skew towards my peers, women that look like me, because I know, and women who have the different responsibilities, because I know how difficult it can be to build a business while you're taking care of a family and trying to be a great wife. So I just hope that everything I do makes someone else just want to like go at it and get it, whatever it is that they want to, no matter what the other things are in their life.
Yeah, I absolutely admire you because now I have a question for you. Explain a mompreneur to us.
Yeah, so it's
Because
just
I
a
see it all the time and I love
it's,
it.
I know I didn't make it up, but it's just a mom who has a business. And I would imagine it's all of y'all. If you have kids, it's, it's a mother who is also an entrepreneur. And I just like to put the two together because they aren't mutually exclusive. Like the business that I run is ran the way it is because I'm a mom. But I also know that I am a better mom because of the businesses that I've run. So I just kind of put the two together and I just use that as I also, when you go to my Instagram, you'll see it because when people are searching mompreneur, my page will come up.
So Patrice, I have a question. Obviously, momming helped you get into the business, but how would you say you got started in what you're doing? Well, I guess tell us a little bit about your businesses and tell us how you got started.
Yeah, so Camp Space is a content studio that is rented hourly for entrepreneurs, marketing professionals to create all the content that they need to reach their audiences. And this business came to be, we opened in March of 2018, so we're approaching 4 years. And we actually opened as a co-work space, which is a remote space where people can work remotely. But before that, I was a publicist and a PR consultant for many years. And I never had a place to go to host client events or to meet with clients. Like I never had this place to go if I didn't want to go into DC. And I'm a Prince George's County girl through and through. And I didn't want to go into DC. I didn't want to fight traffic. I didn't want to pay for parking. And so I said, we need to have some type of resource in the Prince George's County area. And so in 2015, after years of being a public relations consultant, I had a miscarriage. And after I had that miscarriage, I cried and cried and cried. Then the next day I went to Bikram yoga and I said, I am going to open my space. And that just kind of was the start of this journey that has taken me like on so many ups and downs, and where I am right now. And it is nowhere, I would have never thought I'd be in this space. So we opened in 2018 as a co-work space. 2019 came and I realized that I was making more money from people that were using the space to create their content. So we announced right before the pandemic that it was going to pivot and be a content studio, no longer a co-work space, which was scary. Like when you have to switch it up, you're like, yo, you about to change your whole business. But it
Right.
was the best thing that I could have did. And I'll be honest, since then, post pandemic, I've seen so many content studios pop up. And that just shows me that there is a need for a place to go that's clean, that's private, that's beautifully decorated, where you walk in and you do whatever you want, literally whatever you want in the space. There's a need for that. And we're here, like I said, we'll be year 4 in a few weeks, which is crazy. But yeah.
That is awesome. Have you ever thought about opening up another?
Oh, Arnita, you're the second person that asked me that today. And the short answer is absolutely. So that'll be coming soon at some point this year.
I'm looking out. I can't wait. I'm looking out for it.
So, question about your space and like decor. Is it something that you have to switch out decor like on a quarterly or consistent basis? Like, how often does that happen for you?
That is such a good question. So I think we went, no, I know we went the first 3.5 years without switching anything. And I don't think I even thought about it because so many different people would come through the space, and the space is very neutrally decorated. It's not gender specific. And there's a lot of different areas where you can do different things. But just recently we changed out the table, we switched out the couch. So I do think as I go, as I hear customer feedback and as I kind of, go along this journey, even with opening more, there will be different looks. But the one thing that makes us special is that I like to say, like, we're like for your professional creator. Like if you're like into the content creator thing and you're like 25 and you want all like the trendy, all that stuff, that's not really what camp is for. Camp really works very well for the entrepreneur who needs a very clean place, white wall included, which we have, to do professional branding shots. Or maybe you do want a pop of color, you can get in front of the greenery wall. So I never wanted to get too trendy where we're like having all these trendy installations, because that while it could be great with bringing in traffic, it kind of takes away from our main customer, who again are professional, mostly women, who really need just clean and professional spaces to do their thing.
Love
And
it.
what is your hourly rate start at?
So we are now, because there was a 3% increase for the new year, we are $119 an hour, and you can book for as little as 1 hour to the full day buyout. So we actually have Viacom shooting there on Thursday for a full day. We've had the Real Housewives of Potomac shoot there. Roland Martin has shot in documentary stuff there. We've had a lot of production crews come down from like New York and different places to shoot in the space. So it's so flexible. You can have it for as little or as long as you want it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's why I said when you open up a new one, because I could just see it already.
You know what? I think that was something that I think as I look back on 5 years ago, before the space even existed, it was something like, oh yeah, I want to have multiple places here and da 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 da. But then you get into it and you realize how much work it takes to own a brick and mortar, right? The things that nobody talks about. Everybody's going to show you the picture of the signed lease, them standing in an empty place. I got my spot. They're all going to tell you that, but nobody's going to tell you the real of having a brick and mortar. Like you got to pay rent, you got to pay utilities. Like this is an ongoing thing, maintenance, furniture break-in. I just had to get a new couch the other day because somehow it broke. So as I'm going along the process, I'm saying, oh yeah, I'm definitely not opening another one because I don't want to do it.
Right.
However, there are a lot of different ways that there can be a footprint in other places where I'm not the day-to-day. And those are the things that we're exploring now.
Well, I love too on your social media that you're giving advice on those things too, of the brick and mortar or, starting a business. So you're doing different things on your social media to also educate others on startups.
100%, 100%. And I look to people like you, Arnita, who you use your platform. Obviously, it's a way to get business, but like it's also an opportunity to establish yourself as the authority, And it's like if I can teach you anything I've learned along this process, because I've learned a lot, then I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna use social media to do it because it's free, it's easy. I'm gonna be on it anyway. And if you
Right.
just so happen to click one of my businesses and then want to support, then I love that. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's about, that's my daughter. It's about how do we grow together? We can't keep all this information like to ourselves. What good does that do?
I love that you said that. So I also wanted to highlight your side of, being the mom, the wife, and you showcase. I see a lot of time. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot like you're not working, but you're also, you vacation. You do
Yes,
a me time.
yes,
So
yes,
how is it, being able to, take time out for yourself, you and your husband,
yes.
you know, aside from the business.
It is. It's so important, and I don't think I realized it. Like I was always one to get away and travel, but I know I didn't realize how important it was until the pandemic. And when we couldn't travel, I would 1 hour a day. I would have to go outside and run, and that was a non-negotiable. And if I didn't do it,
It's
my
okay.
4-year-old is doing her thing. If I didn't do it, I just felt crappy. Like I literally felt bad. I did not feel good if I didn't go out and get fresh air and run. And then when we were able to travel again, it was like, you know what? I need time. I need time to myself. So I started doing, I call them momcations,
Yes.
where you go away for a weekend. You have to go by yourself.
That's scary.
Yes.
What?
You got to go by yourself. And for me, it's just quiet time. It's time to do all the things that I want to do, because when you're a mom, when you're a business owner, when you're a spouse, you have other responsibilities, and the people in your life that matter need you for different things. So to be able to get away for 3 days, 4 days, and only have to do what I want to do is priceless. And I hope I make other people do them too.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Sure, have you ever did that?
A vacation by myself?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best. I've never been out of the country. But it's coming.
I've never been out of the country either, but I've taken like a long weekend and it doesn't even have to be far. It could be an hour drive and just in my hotel room binge watching shows and creating, like social media content, just like doing whatever I felt like doing, getting massages, eating whatever.
Yeah, sometimes I'll even just go to like the waterfront in DC and get a hotel room at the Intercontinental from Friday to Monday.
I love it. Okay, that's another thing that I'm going to check off for 2022, y'all. Okay. Ariel, have you done it before?
Me?
Yes, she's asked you if you've ever done it.
I've done it before. Oh, I do it all the time. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Right.
Okay.
Arnita, you got to get with it now.
I'm going to do it without my husband because he always wants to go with me, so I need to be.
So couples trips are great, but it's just different because even like in December, me and my husband went away for both of our birthdays, and we had an amazing time. But like, I know when I wanted to get up at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock and go run, he's like, don't go. You by yourself, you don't got to deal with that. You just go.
Did I get cut off?
Yeah, you got cut off a little bit. I had a quick question though for you, Patrice, in terms of juggling your business and being a mom. Like, what advice do you have for women out there, mompreneurs, and just business women that are being moms as well, in terms of work-life balance, besides your weekend getaways alone?
Yeah. Like the everyday sustainable.
Yeah.
I think asking for help and not being afraid to ask for help is going to carry you so far. And with that asking for help, just being really upfront with what it is that you can do and what you need. Like, I remember I would, if I knew I had to do something for work, I would, even if it was like my business, I would wait to the last minute to tell my husband. Not because I didn't want him to know, but it was just, I don't know. So now it's like we have to talk about the week ahead, the prior, so we know what's happening. So everybody's on the same page, and it just takes so much anxiety off of me, at least. And that's important, right? Like asking for help and just being really clear and over communicating what you have. Because another thing that I'm challenged with, I think, and maybe other people feel the same way, is, when you're a mom and you're trying to build a business or working full time, you have these two very heavy responsibilities. And for the most part, dads don't really have the same level of responsibility that we do when it comes to our families.
Right.
Can't speak for everybody, but it seems like you all agree. And so it's just extra heavy. And sometimes you feel, I remember saying, like, how can I grow this thing if I'm always having to be this for this person? I've said very vividly, my business won't be as successful as long as I am in this, as long as this is my life. And that sounds heavy. And I don't know, I think I said that just being really frustrated, but I think those are feelings that we feel because we're getting pulled. There's very rarely can I sit at my computer for 8 hours and work on something.
Right.
It's just not possible, because of all the other demands of my life. And so, just giving yourself grace and understanding that if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have it anyway, so just take just one step at a time. And I think even this morning I was frustrated, and I had to remember, like, I'm very blessed. And God, even how confused I can be sometimes, or stressed out, or just like, WTF, like, what is really happening right now? Right.
Mhm.
Bottom line is, these blessings are continuing to come my way, come my family's way, come my business's way. And so I know I'm on the right path. So you just got to stick with it. So I would say ask for help and over communicate. Trust the process. Just trust it. Go with it. Flow with it. And I forgot the other one, but y'all heard it. I was trying to wrap it together, but y'all got it.
Definitely. What are one of your biggest accomplishments?
It's always hard for me to answer that question. My kids, my son, my oldest, so I have 3. He'll be 15, and then 4, she'll be 5. And then, so we waited 10 years, and then we had back to back. And as much as I love the babies, they're amazing. The oldest one, we grew up together. And just this morning, I love when things is divine timing. So he goes to a really, really good school, and their tuition is $50,000, and we only pay $4,000. And that is partially because of what we've put into him as a human and what he's been able to accomplish, but also just because he's just a great person. And people see him and they're like, I remember when he was 2, like he just makes me so happy. So he is an accomplishment. I don't know if your kids can be an accomplishment, but I'm so thankful that I'm their mom. And then on the professional front, I would say just owning a business that allows people to build out their passions and their dreams. When I go online, or if I'm just randomly searching the internet and I see a coach or a real estate agent, I see their website and I'm like, oh, they did that at camp. To know that I played a part, or my space played a part in pulling their branding together so that they are more professional, they are more confident. Hopefully they had a great experience like that. Those things consistently make me happy. While I appreciate all of the cool people that come through the space, that's not what like really makes me want to keep going. It's the stories of the mom of 4 who really wanted to start a podcast and held it off for 2 years. But then when she saw that there was a podcast studio in her neighborhood, i.e. Camp Space, she decided to do it. Like those are the stories those are accomplishments for me.
I love that. I actually mainly would hit was that your son is your accomplishment. And just I think because too, you said that he was the oldest, him watching you work so hard and get all of these things, and then they're like, oh, I want to be like mommy, I want to be like dad. They say that all, so we are playing such a big part in our children's lives every day that we think that they're not noticing, but they notice everything.
Everything. The other day we had talked maybe a month or so ago about him working for the business, being an employee, because if you have a child, you can pay them a certain amount and then it's a tax credit or whatever. And I said, well, let's just circle back once you finish the basketball season. And sure enough, he came to me like, all right, mom, what's up with that position? And I'm just like, that's my guy. Like, yeah, what I'm saying? Like, let's get to it, And I've always brought him to client events when I was a publicist. He was always with me. I would bring him to Sunday brunches with me and my homies, so they see it all. And so it feels really amazing when you see them now on their own path.
Definitely.
And it's just like, wow. Yeah.
So I noticed on your page also that you have started your own podcast.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your podcast?
Yes, thank you for asking. So, the Shades of Content is my baby, and I actually started that show 2 years ago. But I was just doing audio. And when it first started, it was just talking to Black women content creators. But then I said, there's more to this. Like, I learned from men as well. And I want to really hit on entrepreneurship. So starting January of 2022, I rebranded, updated the logo, photo shoot, video episodes, as well as audio. And the purpose of the show is to teach Black millennial entrepreneurs and millennial entrepreneurs how to use content to market their business, but also how to stay content while doing it, right? So the bottom line is, if you're a business owner, you are using content in some way, shape, or form. So I talk to guests who have mastered the art of content in some kind of way. But then also, if you're a business owner, you got to take care of yourself. And to me, content, so you have content and then you have content. Being content is that state of peaceful happiness where there can still be chaos in your life. You might not know what's going on, but you have this sense of peace knowing that you're on the right track. So some of the 75% of the episodes are me interviewing people who have figured out content and are working it for their business. But the other 25% is single episodes where I'm just talking about my story and my journey through these things. A lot of the guests are also parents. So we're talking about that process for them. So yeah, just kind of weaving it all together, because a lot of our peers are business owners, and some of us, it happened later. We weren't business owners when we were in our 20s, but we got in our early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, and we're taking on these entrepreneurial ventures while we're raising families, while we're taking care of our parents. There's just so many factors that affect being a business owner and then creating content to promote your business. So that is the premise of the show, and we release every Friday on YouTube as well as all your podcast platforms.
That was my next question. Okay, good.
What gives you the confidence to build something like that? I know, they kind of go hand in hand, like the two businesses that you have. But what would you say that the podcast gives you? Like, what type of confidence, are you putting into that, and what's behind it?
Well, that's a great question, because for so many years, I have a really good friend. He will always be like, yo, you need to be on the radio. People need to hear your voice. And I'd be like, I ain't doing that. It's too many podcasts. Don't nobody got time for that. He was telling me this for years. So then finally in 2019, I said, okay, I'll start a podcast. But I held on to it for 6 months because I was so afraid. And I think maybe it was because I just didn't want people actually hearing me, or I didn't think what I had to say was valuable enough, or I didn't want it to be just another podcast. So I wasn't confident at all. But then I said, I just have to do it. And so for me, the confidence wasn't there. I just pulled together 2 of my good friends and I said, you guys, I need to do this. And I need your help. And by them coming and helping me, it had to happen, right? They were the ones now holding me accountable. And I can't back down when somebody else is involved. So I released, but for 2 years, there weren't many video. So I conquered that fear of hearing my voice. But then there's the fear of people seeing me, not in a still picture, but in live video. And that was something I had to get over. But with that came, you know what? Just hire a very high quality production team. Invest so that you always look good. Learn how to do your makeup so when you're on camera, you look right. Think about your outfits and just put a little more effort into it. And so I think for me, like now where I'm pretty confident when it comes to that, because I know what I'm doing, that most of that comes from also preparing, right? When you fail to plan, you're going to fail. And so when we shoot 1 day a month, and that's when we knocking out 4 episodes. I pick my clothes out 2 days before. A few days before, I might have a stylist help me. I know how to, like I said, I can figure out my own makeup now, and it's really a planned out thing. So I take it so seriously that the confidence is there. But with that, there are going to be so many things that we are afraid to do, but we know we need to do it. So when that happens, you got to have at least somebody else in your corner that can remind you that this is what you need to be doing. And then, just do your part to make sure, like some people say, just do it. Perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And while I agree with that, I do think you need to have your stuff together. I'm not a believer in putting out trash to put it out. I do believe you have to put some effort into what it is, because what you put out there is what people are going to see. And yes, there's always room for elevation. There's always room to be better. But if you know you can do better, then just do better, right? Like don't half-ass it. Hope I can curse on this show, but I talk to myself about that all the time. Like, no half-assing. Like if you're not going to do it 100%, then just don't do it. Just fall back. Don't do it for the sake of doing it. And I think that also kind of gets lost. We're in this space of just put it out, just release it, just be you. It's fine. Okay, but you need to be presenting your best self, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, take pride in who you are. Look good. Look the part. Plan. Practice your script. We're in this social media world now where it's like you turn the camera on, you're going to get what you're going to get. And I know that there's value in that. I know that it works. It's sustainable for many people, but I'm just not from that school of just doing whatever. I think you got to show up.
On point.
There's always in a dress and
fun of me. They make fun of me, Patrice. I mean, where are you going? I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to work.
I love it. I'm with it.
So what is Black Girl Holiday? Is that the weekend away that you were talking about?
Black Girl Holidays is actually so this is a content planner, right? So December of 2020, I was trying to create content, and I really wanted to like do some things that highlighted Black women. And so I was looking for a document that had holidays and birthdays all in one, and it didn't exist. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna just do it. And it was 3 weeks before Vice President Kamala Harris was inaugurated. And I said, well, I'll create a calendar that every day has something related to Black women. And that could be a birthday. It could be a historical milestone. It could be like a National Chef Day. And so for 2 weeks, myself and my two teammates, Brianna and Dayana, we just scoured the internet and found all the dates, and we filled out a calendar. I had a graphic designer create it. I had an attorney who did the trademarking, and we released it, the first edition on January 20th, 2021. And this is the second edition For the second edition, it's now a full planner. So you can use it to plan out your entire life. And then all the monthly dates have all the different milestones, and each date or each month has a different custom design. It's so, if I'm being honest, this will be the last edition because I'm not in the business of making books. I think also as you try out new things and you do what you want to do at the time, you also realize what won't work moving forward. And I own the trademark to this. Maybe there's a licensing deal or something, but this likely will not exist after 2022. But it was great to create it. And somebody told me I should reach out to the Museum of African American History. So I need to add that to my to-do list, because maybe this could be in like one of their time capsules.
You know what came to mind when you shared that? Don't laugh. What came to mind is greeting cards for Black women.
Yes.
You know, maybe I'm congratulating Arnita on her closing today. Or maybe I'm just sending a happy birthday card to Cher. We as Black women don't pat ourselves on the back enough. So while you have this content creation calendar, I think it could be turned into greeting cards to one another and celebrating milestones and different holidays in a Black woman's life.
I think that is so smart. And like I said, we have the trademark, so I can kind of think through some things. And for me, it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It's just creating a book and a planner it's a huge undertaking. So yeah, maybe it's like me partnering with an already existing greeting card company. Yes. Yeah. And they pay me a gang of money to have the rights to use the trademark and all that stuff. Do whatever you want. But no, I think this lives in partnership with exactly what you just said. The opportunities like that. Because I'm also as I approach 40 in 2 years, I'm really trying to create this life that I can still make money and you don't have to see me.
That's how we are trying to be right now. That's
what we all grind. Yeah. I'm trying to get rid of this grind culture because I think it's doing too much. We're actually selling the perception that you always have to be working to make money, and you don't. Other ways to get it, and there's other platforms to get it. Yeah, you can be sleeping and making money.
Exactly. But thank you for asking. Blackgirlholidays.com. Blackgirlholidays.com. You can get the print version or the digital version, which is a digital download.
Wonderful.
Patrice, do you mentor?
I had to unofficially. So I have young women who I've met along the way who I'm always available for them if they have questions. It's not really official like mentor situation, but if somebody reaches out and they got questions, I'm gonna talk to them. However, there's always a however. When I get the email saying or the DM saying, "Hey, how did you open your space? Can you tell me?" Then I say, I talk about all of this in my podcast. Listen to it. And then after that, if you still have questions, send me 2 questions. I'll answer them. Because I'm not going to say I didn't have anyone to call, because that's not fair, right? That's not fair. But I was able to find out everything I needed because the information is out there. And I've strategically created a platform, i.e. my social media, my podcast, where I've shared every single part of the process. There's an episode called The Camp Space Story. Literally, I talk about from point A to point where, so if you have reached out to me without doing the research, which is what I would never do, that I would never reach out to someone without, number 1, a direct ask, and number 2, evidence that I did all I could before I reached out to them. And honestly, number 3, without asking them what their rate is or offering to take them to lunch or something. Because you have to respect people's time. Like, you got to respect people's time. And so I think it's not an official thing. There are people in my life who ask me anything, what's up, let's figure it out. But on the same token, when it's kind of the unsolicited or the random ask without like just doing your due diligence, then I do push back some.
Right. I'm glad you touched on that, because I mean, how many of us get I get messages in my DM saying how do I get my real estate license? That is everywhere.
Everywhere. Shoot, I took the real estate class. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a turn off, and I'm like, some things I had to do it. You have to research yourself.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Everything is online. Everything is on YouTube.
Everything.
And podcasts now.
Everything. But I think because of social media and because of our phones, the generations, at least my son and my sister, who's 23, they've been crippled. Like, we used to have to pick up an encyclopedia to find, right? Doing that work just doesn't exist as generations come after us. And so while information is all flowing and you can really know everything, I think it's kind of crippling people because they don't have to look for it.
Right. At their fingertips, and they take advantage of that.
Exactly. Yep. What do you do?
So what is next for Patrice? What is next?
Oh, child, Lord, I don't even know. No, definitely just hopefully scaling, growing this business. It's been 4 years of me doing it on my own. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm looking to bring on a day-to-day person for the physical location, so that I can just go and really try hard to build this thing, whatever that looks like. So, and then just continuing to try to be my best, right? So I have a therapist now who I just love. And, I took January off from the gym, but I'm back really focusing on my physical health, because that is so important to my mental. And just hopefully I'll have a beautiful condo overlooking a beach in a few years.
I don't blame you. I mean, I think it's a perfect touch for Women's Month, and today being International Women's Day, for you to touch on, because we've had the conversation on here plenty of times about having a therapist. I think we.
I think she cut out.
She paused. Yeah.
I mean, for me, you just got to have somebody that you can talk to, whatever, and I think just that unbiased opinion from a therapist is, to me, it's just so valuable. It's not like they're giving you the answers, but sometimes just oftentimes hearing yourself talk through things and having that trained person ask you questions that will spark a different thought process. At least for me, it's been helpful. And I don't know how long I'll continue it. I think in this space now, in this season where I am taking on a lot more and being stretched, like my brain is being stretched and I'm having to do things I've never had to do before. Just being able to come back to center and have those therapeutic conversations with a licensed professional have been great.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on with us today. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad, just giving people the insight of what you do and your business and how you help others. We really do appreciate it.
And I appreciate the invitation. I know how important it is to share your platform with someone else. And I'm just very appreciative, and I wish you guys all the success, because I am a queen of DMV too. So,
Ariel, you're going to have to take us out because my computer might cut off. I think I cut off in the beginning.
Okay, wonderful. Patrice, you want to share your social media handles before we say goodbye?
Yes. You guys can connect with me at Patrice Cameau, PatriceCameau, and or my businesses at Camp Spaces with an S, because I created that name years ago because I always knew there were going to be more than one location. So maybe it's all coming to fruition. But yeah, reach out. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I love having conversations. I love building community. And yeah, can't wait to connect with everybody.
Thanks again. We were so glad to have you today.
Thank you so much.
My name is Ariel, and my co-host Cher Castillo. Arnita Greene. She may be stuck. Oh, there she is. We're signing out for today, but don't forget to follow us on the Queens of the DMV on IG, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, check us out on Thursdays. Again, signing off, Queens of the DMV. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.